everyone, welcome back to our weekly market update video featuring by Marketsall and Rationale. Before starting, please take a quick moment and hit that subscribe button to support us for more content like this. This week is packed with important events for the markets, from US data like ISM and job numbers to the ECB's interest rate decision in Europe. On top of that, tensions around global trade deals and geopolitics are driving drove safe havens like gold higher in the beginning of the week. Oil prices are also rising despite OPEC plus production increase, mainly due to geopolitical risks. Meanwhile, US 10-year yields are holding around 4.40% levels. So in today's video, the structure will be as usual. I'll quickly go through the latest developments in the economic calendar, in the news flow. Then in the chart section today, I'll try to go through some the trade ideas that I had given before in previous videos. So show you how they are acting, how they are performing right now, and are they still offering some opportunity to get into that trade idea. We'll evaluate from that perspective. So let's break it all down and look what it could mean moving forward. Okay, first of all, economic calendar. Let me start with last Friday. We received PCE numbers. So we saw that the core inflation is cooling. Core PCE came in parallel to the expectation month over month, as you can see here. And the yearly figure is a 2.5%, is below than the previous one, and currently we're just it's now below 3% PC rate, which is pretty good consider in terms of the disinflation path. Despite a new tariffs, inflation could keep easing. That's because US importers will likely ask Chinese suppliers to absorb some of the tariff costs. So probably that burden will be shared by the producers plus retailers. So even if costs do a pass through to the prices, tariffs tend to slow spending, which will dampen the demand, and overall that's a disinflationary as well. So at least I can say that I don't see any sign that tariffs will lead to some inflationary path, at least for there is nothing concrete right now. And the second thing is the Fed, about a Fed hike for potential for this month. It could now be keeping rates too high. Meanwhile, US growth isn't as weak as feared when you look at the data. After a soft Q1 GDP print, for example, last week the Atlanta Fed now, if you're following, that's a good indicator, which is now casting the GDP number, which is 3.8% growth, suggesting that earlier fears of recessions stayed kind of premature. So we received also weak ISM data. The latest ISM manufacturing PMI missed the expectation, 48.5 we received, but the previous number was 49.5. And while the components improved slightly, overall weakness remains. Export orders and import levels dropped sharply. And the biggest thing of the biggest theme, the major event of this week was this big geopolitical event. Ukraine carried out a major drone strike on Russian military targets. It's seen as a signal ahead of key diplomatic meetings in Istanbul and the counter to Russia's planned escalation. Some worry this could even test Russia's a nuclear doctrine. The US kind of distance themselves from the strike, they're we didn't have any involvement in it, but yeah, that's what they announced. But today, while I'm recording this video, it's 3rd of June on Tuesday, and it's mainly seems at least there's some improvements in the talks. For sure, the security concerns rise. The use of container routes raises fears that similar threats could appear near other military or like economic sites globally, leading to tighter inspection, which could slow trade for sure. That's another thing. Another point that I need to mention about last week, I think it was like last Friday, Trump proposes raising tariffs on steel and aluminum 50%, targeting China again. It's like it's made also create some global like trade frictions. Meanwhile, OPEC is boosting production but facing resistance from Russia and yeah, Algeria side. But when you like the oil is trading about around 63 levels, which is like highly close to the support level of there was a huge descending triangle chart pattern. I can show you again in the chart section. So in general, that's the general environment. The gold is due to like amid this like a global uncertainties, gold started like high to the week, and currently there's some easiness going on those stocks. That's why we saw the risk on sentiment coming in a bit. Apart from that, we received last week NVIDIA earnings report. The key takeaways quickly. The expectation was, since there was a restriction for China, like China restrictions, that might be that might have some bad impact on NVIDIA's earnings, but it didn't happen. It cost only like a 7 billion USD for NVIDIA in Q1, and Q2 impact estimated 8 billion due to lost sales and inventory write-downs. So we saw like a strong core performance despite like a China drag in general. Demand from US tech giants more than offset weakness coming from China. About Blackwell chips, that was like one other important issue about NVIDIA. Manufacturing and deliveries are running smoothly. There are like a strong partnerships going on, such as like Dell and AI as a new growth driver. CEO of NVIDIA emphasized like this sovereign AI as the next frontier AI infrastructure by governments. Apart from that, big, we can say that like the big technological risk reduced after this. No question, like there was like the question was if this chip industry will lead to some like a fight between tech giants or collaboration, but the CEO Jensen gave strong some examples of collaboration with major tech firms like Amazon, Google, Meta, or Microsoft. In general, NVIDIA delivered like a solid numbers. Managed, apparently it showed that, I think that was the biggest concern, that if they were going to manage China risk good or bad, that was the question, but the answer is like a good. And there's like a powerful narrative around like a government-backed AI infrastructure. That's a positive sign as well for NVIDIA, and thus like in all general markets, which especially highly impacted by AI stocks. Like it's a positive sign. And that's why like any kind of, in the current environment, to just wrap up the situation, from the global geopolitical side, we keep receiving some bad news, and that lead to short-term risk-off sentiment to kick in. But on the other hand, when you look like earnings, when you look at like companies like earnings report and the current trend of the major charts, you can see that like still like all those corrections caused by geopolitical tensions still could be used as a buying opportunity amid like a disinflationary environment where Fed is expected to cut rates. So that's how it works right now. And let me skip to chart section now to show you around this environment how our trade ideas acted, how they're performing right now. And let me quickly skip to this part. So let me start with gold. I think it was last week I had mentioned this in the daily chart. There was a parallel channel, like a downward sloping, and I had mentioned about this like a potential breakout from this, but I had also mentioned in the 4-hour chart here there was a kind of head and shoulder bottomish chart pattern is being formed. This potential breakout from this head and shoulder bottom would be also a breakout from this parallel channel. So that's how I was how I'm tracking still gold. It's still like any kind of correction in gold is used as a buying opportunity amid like rates are coming down, rates are expected to come down, and geopolitical tension. I think I still believe that this huge trend is like I'm still bullish. At least there is no concrete thing that I can say that I expect it to come down. And when we go to USD franc, the trade idea was based on this rectangle chart pattern, right? So, and after this breakdown in the weekly chart, okay, there was a pullback, and the way to evaluate this pullback to find the entry point, I had mentioned about this parallel channel, and as you can see, a potential like it was already broken down, and it was pulling back around here, and I had mentioned an entry point just below this weekly support level plus the lower boundary of this parallel channel might be good entry point, and it is performing pretty well right now. If you had like a sell limit order while the price was around here, like this, while the price was around, I think, yeah, the price was around here when I was mentioning this. If you had a sell limit order from here, it would have been in profit right now. It's going well in that terms. So Canadian Japanese yen, this was another trade idea that was based on this weekly chart, which is like a head and shoulder top chart pattern, as you can see here. Let me show you like this. Yeah, and potential breakdown could be used as being like a bearish on being shorting Canadian dollar against Japanese yen. And when you come to the daily chart, I think it was just like a last week, no, the one before, I think last week's video, I think, I'm not sure about that. This region could be used as a selling region. So again, same thing, like just to be short by taking this weekly chart into consideration. If you're trying to find the entry point in a lower time frames like daily or 4-hour chart, any kind of sell limit order from here would be useful. And it's, I mean, it moved like this, then we got in, it moved pretty fast around here, now pulling back, and the bearish action resumed apparently. So I think it's working well as well. EUROUD Australian dollar was another one. Again, it was based on this weekly rectangle chart pattern here, but just to find an entry point in the lower time frame after this huge breakout pullback, as you can see, maybe in the 4-hour chart it will be much more accurate. There's a head and shoulder bottom chart pattern is formed, and any kind of breakout activity, breakout movement could be used to be long in this cross pair. And pound USD was another one. I had mentioned this this cup with handle here, like this formation in the weekly chart. When you come to the daily, breakout, pulled back, and I think it was it was traded around here probably, and like I was mentioning, that this area could be used to be long as a pullback opportunity. And I mean, currently it's just like in profit, but very little right now. I think it's still an option to be long in pound against USD. EURUSD, the 4-hour chart was the base here, and I think, I mean, it didn't work out. If you were trading like if you're like a swing trader, if you like take this head and shoulder bottom formation into consideration, and if you were to be like a long around either here or in the pullback, you would be stopped out. It didn't work well, but still, this, rather than this, you can think of this area as a right shoulder of this one, and I think it still serves as a like a long opportunity. I think we're still there. I believe that euro, at least like we have some room up until this 1.15 levels, and still good area to be long, I think. Another trade idea, this one, while I was showing the soybean oil futures, this daily chart pattern, rectangle chart pattern, was the base of this trade idea. And the breakout, I mean, when I was mentioning, I think we were around here, the pullback was occurring, as far as I remember, if I'm not mistaken, for sure. But still, it didn't act as we desired. So this trade idea still be here, and the breakout is not there yet. And I think the highlights, I keep mentioning this Bitcoin chart for, I don't know, like for 3 weeks or something. Again, I need to repeat this one. Here, as you can see in the weekly chart, you can see that all like these arrows are showing the convergence to the main trend line. And before Bitcoin making a new high like this kind of move, we see some convergence in the weekly chart, right? And now I think we're at there. As you can see here, this area, again, let me show you, this area is the consolidation area, right? And that's why my perspective was, I was expecting Bitcoin to come down up until around like a 95K levels to make a turn here, while it will be a convergence to the main trend line. At the same time, it will also lead to form a head and shoulder continuation chart pattern if we see a turn like this, right? That's what I was mentioning. So while this was happening, I had also mentioned this Ethereum BTC chart as a potential outperformance of altcoins, the Bitcoin. So as you can see here in the monthly chart, there's a double bottom in Ethereum Bitcoin. So that means it's an expectation that Ethereum will outperform Bitcoin, right? So the idea was Bitcoin was going to come down to converge this. Sorry, give me a sec, please. To converge this trend line and to form this head and shoulder continuation. I was expecting this Ethereum chart to form a head and shoulder continuation chart. Okay, so that's why I was more bullish on altcoins rather than Bitcoin. That was my mentality. Just to support that idea, let me go quickly. Sorry, I'll show you this later on. For example, XRP. As you can see in the daily chart, there's a head and shoulder bottom chart pattern might be formed if this moves like this. Another one in the weekly chart of DOGE USDT. If we see the continuation of resume of this trend, we might see this up with handle chart pattern formation to be formed. And yeah, another trade idea that I had shown was Alibaba Group Holdings. It didn't actually work out well. I mean, not yet actually. I had mentioned this trade idea around here, I guess. If it was here, probably I would be stopped out. But if it was around here, it's going like it's in loss right now. But I still believe that this chart, I mean, as long as we see some easement, I mean, this is a bet of tariff deals will be solved, like will be negotiated well, and it will go in a like positive direction. That's a bet for it. If you just want to bet on it, I think this betting on this ascending triangle chart pattern after this huge downward movement. There's a ascending triangle acting as a reversal chart pattern is a good opportunity still. And generally, like Alibaba buyers are more generally like they're adding to their portfolio rather than trading. In also with regards to that, it might be sensible as well. And yeah, I think these are all previous trade ideas I want to mention this week. I just try to show you like what's my perspective, how I treat like charts. How do I find some entry points? That was my goal, to show you some, give you some insight on that. And so like the most important, I think, part here is the divergence, my expectation of divergence between Bitcoin from altcoins. I still expect that. We'll see. For sure, like it's pretty normal to be mistaken on it. Nobody knows what's gonna happen next. But yeah, that's all I'm going to talk about. And thank you for your time. Thank you for listening. If you have any questions, if you have like, I don't know, some charts that I want to examine, want to go through in the videos, please just write a comment below the video. Also, you can reach the website of Marketsall from the link below. Also, Rationale newsletter service that I sent all these trade ideas to directly your inbox. The link for subscription is just down below the video, and it's all free. And I wish you a really nice week. Bye.